Hi Capricorn, welcome to your August 2020 love reading. It's Raina here. So I'm working with a deck for this series called the gosh, I never can think of that name. The Etheric Tarot. That's the name of it, I think. It's the back of them. Art Nouveau, early 1900s. I think of Capricorn when I think of this style. Very clean lines, very, I don't know, just Capricornian. But it's romantic, so. Anyway, and I've created a spread for this occasion, so I will explain it when I get there. Interesting. I just got the death card and it was very elegant. Like all these cards. These cards are gilded, so. Ooh. This is the card, the Emperor. I always think of you, but it's supposed to be Aries, so. And maybe I have the situation at hand. I have fire energy here, so maybe that's Aries too. If this is a fire sign that you're interested in, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, this reading is for people, for Capricorns who are single, as well as those who are in relationships where they're either wanting to leave them or wanting to make them better. The Knight of Wands is a card of somebody with very strong boundaries, or maybe the issue of boundaries is something that has come up. And if this is a single Capricorn, I could totally see you having very strong boundaries, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is all about boundaries, structure, like, okay, this is where I stand. And sometimes when people are like that, not only are they defensive in a sense, meaning that, well, I shouldn't say defensive because that's more reactive. It's like walled in, you know, and a lot of that to me is pain and not wanting to get hurt again. And Capricorns are human, so you can feel pain just like anybody else. Just because you're an earth sign, or just because you tend to be very ambitious, doesn't mean that you don't have a heart, that you don't have feelings. And so you may be trying to protect your heart, even if you're single and you claim that you're looking, you claim that you want it more than anything to be in a relationship with Capricorns who are of a certain age range. You might even be thinking about having children, and you say, well, you know, I have to have a partner in order to do this, and feeling that sense of like, it's time, I'm in my 30s, or just, you know, being very pragmatic about it. And because of that, having that sense of wanting to, you know, start a family and things like that, and you know that you need a partner to do that. So that may make it frustrating for you if you find that relationships never seem to go anywhere. But if you do some self-inquiry, soul-searching, just good old-fashioned reflection, you might find that there are certain characteristics that you are exhibiting that lend themselves to a relationship where the other person feels that you won't let them in emotionally. Like, it's, you kind of like can only go so far. So just thinking about it from that perspective, there will be some Capricorns, if your moon is in Pisces or Libra, maybe Cancer, or even Taurus, possibly, where you need to have boundaries, where you have a tendency, or even Virgo, you may do too much for somebody that they should be doing for themselves. So somebody in a relationship may need to set boundaries, and that is how you deal with that person. Excuse me. So why have you come to this point? Well, the past influence that's affecting this present situation is the King of Cups in reverse. I'll just hold it upright so you can see what he looks like. He's got a drink in his hand. So there you go. In the reverse position, this could be an addiction issue. If you're with someone and you might need to set boundaries with that person, and that because that addiction, like alcoholism, is negatively impacting your marriage, your committed partnership. There's very few things, possibly infidelity is the only biggie that I can think of that is more destructive to the well-being of a relationship than addiction. So for Capricorns, it's important to realize this and to not minimize it, and that you learn to set boundaries. Although I have never been a part of this group, there's Al-Anon, which deals with the spouse of somebody with alcoholism, and there might be other groups that for other substance abuse issues. But the reason that it exists is so that people who are in that situation know how to best handle that person. And I also recommend the book CoDependent No More by Melody Beatty, which to me is very law of attraction before it ever was a household name. And I haven't read it in many years, but from what I recall, I remember the inspiration I got from that book, because basically what it talks about is refocusing your life on yourself. So this is a message for somebody who is currently in an unhappy relationship with somebody who drinks too much, or whatever the equivalent is that you deserve better, but also that in order to, since you're still in a relationship with that person, you have to learn different tactics to deal with that person. And sometimes people, because they do love a person with an addiction, which is entirely possible, they need to learn better ways to relate to this person, because they may be making the problem worse if they are enabling that person to continue to use. Obviously, every situation is different. The King of Cups in reverse can be someone who is really manipulating you with guilt and whatnot. And so I feel like with relationship issues, this King of Cups in reverse is trying to get inside of your head through your heart. And so these kinds of people guilt. If this is a water sign individual, it would be Cancer. They are masters. Imbalanced Cancers are masters of guilting. Scorpio and Pisces. These are the three water signs. The King of Cups in reverse is not emotionally mature, even though they may be chronologically older than you. They might be very immature emotionally, and they haven't mature to the point where they can accept that they need to take responsibility for their life. If you are single, Capricorn, this may be, the barriers that you have erected may come from long ago. Maybe a father who was emotionally abusive in some way, knew exactly how to wound you, and perhaps you need to stop giving that person power over your life, because the Nine of Wands may having you act against your better judgment, because when there is something that has not been healed, it really can dominate, the person's life in one way or the other. So that just gives that other person power. Even if that parent has passed away, they still hold their adult child in sway. So what may be coming in the next several weeks that helps you get what you want, whether it's a new relationship or if you're looking to leave a relationship, the Death card. So this is a card about endings, about transformation. I would say embracing the end. If you're in a relationship, embracing that no, there isn't anything else you can do. That this relationship really is over with, and that you tried your best. If you are single, the Death card can be trying to change you, not somebody else. And what I mean by somebody else, if you're single, you don't have anybody else. But maybe you're still dealing with a father who is not right, and you're still being triggered by that person. In the theory of narcissism, one of the remedies is called the gray rock technique, where the narcissist is always trying to gain information about you so that they can use as some sort of ammunition to criticize you, to make you second guess yourself and all this stuff. And so there's a great rock technique where you deal with this parent or what other narcissist. If this is an ex, the King of Cups in reverse, it could be an ex that really eroded your self-esteem because you decided to believe what they said. But what you can do is to be, when they ask you what's new in your life, you just say, oh, nothing's new. You don't have to lie, but you can just be very generic so that they have no information to go on. And so this is about changing your tactics. The Death card, though, to me, ultimately, is accepting the end of something. Even for single people, it may be that you have to end a back and forth relationship with an ex, or even if you're not getting together with them and splitting up, they're still keeping tabs on you. They're calling you, they're finding excuses to call you or to email you, and you just can't stand to hear from them. You don't want to hear from them, not because you hate them, but because you just want to move on with your life, and the Death card supports that. The advice on how you can make this happen, the Ace of Swords, this is really about gaining clarity over your situation. You may be tempted, Capricorn, to kind of like trivialize your marriage and say, oh, yes, he drinks a little bit too much, but it's no big deal. He's a great provider, he's great with our children, and to see the good side of things. And there probably are going to be good things. But we're talking also about your growth and your dignity, your need for a supportive partner, not somebody that you feel like guarded. You know, with the Nine of Wands, this is like the sentinel at the gate. When is the intruder going to attack again? And that kind of wariness, you know, that leads to having a wall up. To me, the Ace of Swords is also about not being in denial so that you can move forward. And swords are about thoughts. If there is somebody in your life around you that is an air sign, Libra comes to mind, but the other air signs are Gemini and Aquarius. I'm like, okay, because I was kind of nodding off before I decided to start this reading, so it's at nighttime. So if it's any of those signs, there might be somebody that you're going to start a relationship with who is an air sign. And what you have in common with air is the love of logic, the love of, you know, keeping things free from drama and that sort of thing. And so perhaps you're with a King of Cups in reverse who is very full of drama. And you're glad to be away from that, but it's like you can never really get away from it because they're always there. The outcome is the Emperor, and this is a card that I said reminds me of you, but is supposed to be Aries. Oh, I think those are ram's ears, so there you go, and it's red. The Emperor, to me, ultimately, besides another person, is really feeling in control of yourself and your life, Capricorn. Really feeling like you've got it together. That you're not too emotional, you're not scattered. And this may go along with the Ace of Swords, that you now see things as they really are and you're able to move forward with a sense of clarity. The number 4 is actually connected to your ruler, Saturn. And that means that it's all about order, like law and order. And this can be especially a special relief for people who have been in relationships with addicts. And if you are currently in one with an alcoholic, for instance, the Emperor is about you taking charge of your life and not being codependent. Codependency means that you are allowing yourself to get immersed in somebody else's problems. It doesn't have to always be substance abuse. It can be if they have an emotional issue that is they want to just constantly talk to you about, but really they're burdening you with that because you're going to see it as your problem that you're going to try to solve. And certain people, they're willing to do that because they want somebody else obsessed with their problems and trying to solve their problems. But this is about you kind of standing on your own 2 feet and realizing that other people have to do so as well. And the best authority you have is yourself. It's not about outer authority. And so I see it that way as well. So it's very self-empowering. And so that's good. So whatever this Nine of Wands represents in your life, I feel like you come out on top because you're going to put your foot down and say what your boundaries are. And that doesn't mean that you're going to stay with somebody, but in the meantime, you're not going to allow things to just keep going as they are. Okay, Capricorn, that's what I have for you. I hope that you enjoy this. If you'd like a relationship reading, reading for single, if you're single and looking for love, or just a general natal chart interpretation, Please check out my offerings at rainamoonastrology.com. I have the link below. Take care. Bye.